In this video, we're going to go over some of the basics of Infinite Campus that you might use as a parent. If you'd like to follow along in the app on your phone and you don't already have it downloaded, you might want to pause the video and download the app first so that you can click through as I go through some of this information. So what do you use Infinite Campus for? And at the bottom of the screen you can see as compared to Canvas, which you heard a lot about last year, and there seems to be some confusion between the two. So Infinite Campus is where you're going to check current grades. That is always the current grade, and that may be a little bit different for incoming parents of freshmen than they did at Chisholm. I know you're used to Summit, and you checked there for some of the grades. At the high school, the current grade should be in Infinite Campus if you want to know what their current grade is. Missing assignments, that should all show up in Infinite Campus. It's kind of the final say for all of that. You can also check things like their grade cards, transcripts, GPA, what credits they have, their schedule, their lockers. So any of that information basically that the district has and stores on your student is in Infinite Campus. So why Canvas? Canvas is your daily lesson planning spot where your students are going to go to get their lesson plans from the teacher. It's just now that you compare with them in Canvas, you can have access to those daily lesson plans as well. And then you can also see the grades on the assignments and the feedback. I kind of compare it to when your students are in elementary school and they come home with their Friday folder and you get a page through and see the assignments and see the comments from the teacher. Same thing, you can pull up the students' assignments in Canvas and see what their grades are on them and if the teacher made any comments or gave them any feedback. So how do I get there? I said the app is one option we'll talk about in a second, but you can also go to the website. I usually just Google USD 373, or if you could have it bookmarked and it comes up, and on that front page, the home page of the district, in the top right, there's a little icon that says Infinite Campus. I have it circled there in green, and when you click on that, that will take you to the parent login. If you don't know your parent login or you've forgotten your password, you need to call the office where your student attends, and the office should be able to get you back into Infinite Campus. The app is really convenient. It's on your phone. You can set different amounts of alerts. As a parent, you can set it to alert you when an assignment is posted if you like that. I don't personally want an alert every time an assignment's posted, especially at the high school where you have 8 courses. That could be a lot of notifications coming through. But Infinite Campus does give you a lot of options on how often you want to be notified on your phone if you download the app. So that's something to look into if you download that. It works very similar to the full website. I appreciate that. Sometimes the apps and the websites are different and you have to learn 2 different kind of formats, but this is very similar, so you really just have to learn it once. So one of the first features I want to talk about is Infinite Campus Messages. And this is what teachers utilize and schools utilize to send information. I'm sure that you've gotten numerous emails and notifications out of Infinite Campus in the past. We can send stuff to the entire class, a message about an upcoming project, something very general, and push that out to everybody listed as a guardian in Infinite Campus. We can send more specific messages to students by choosing grades. So I can choose everybody that is not passing the class and have it send a message letting you know that your student is not passing. I can send missing assignment lists out to parents. Even if your student has just one missing assignment, you may get that as part of missing assignment send out. As a teacher, I can choose to send it to the Infinite Campus message board, which I'll show you in a second, or I can send it to the Guardian emails, or I can send it to both. A majority of teachers send it to both places. If for some reason your email gets locked out, you change emails and you haven't gotten it changed with the school, you can still see all those messages teachers send through the message board in Infinite Campus. And so this is basically what the screen looks like when you log in to Infinite Campus. You come into the Message Center, and the district announcements are on the homepage. And you see there that on the right tab that's where the inbox is. And those are messages from teachers or the office on specific reminders that are for your student, not the general stuff. So this is a screen just clicked over on that to show you that you would just click into it. It looks much like an email. All of these reminders most likely went to this student's guardian's emails as well. So they're duplicates, but they said sometimes there's reasons you can't get into your email. It's nice to have that. You also, in some platforms, will have a little bell icon up at the top that'll tell you you have messages in the message center and that you need to check it, and you can check it that way as well. All right, another feature, probably the most used feature and reason that Infinite Campus parents go to it, is to check grades. This is a practice account, so we could show you what the grades look like. So Mickey Mouse is enrolled in chemistry. If you have a student that is a full-time student, they would have way more classes than one. They would have 8 classes that they're enrolled in. This one just shows one, so there's nothing to scroll down to, but it gives you an idea. So across the top here, you see the quarters. You can click between the different quarters that we're in, or you can see all terms at once. So Mickey Mouse has a 70% for chemistry for the 4th quarter, and it says in progress. So that means it's not posted. It can always change. Only posted grades are final. So in progress would be the grades that can go up and down that they're working on. If I want to know more details about it, I can click into it. I just click on that grade and it takes me in, and I can see details on each assignment. And so over on the right there, you see a red circle. If you've been in it, it probably is still expanded in the past. But the first time in, you have to expand. It'll say assessments, labs, whatever categories the teachers are using. And then you can see the assignments underneath. So some teachers weight their grades and some teachers don't. Weighted grades is just a way of making certain categories have more an impact on their grades. So some teachers just do points. Everything is just pointed out and it doesn't matter. But a lot of science teachers and math teachers use weighted grades, and you can see this reflected in this chemistry where they have labs and assessments. And assignments as well, that they're weighted different. So assessments are half their grade. Assignments are 30% and labs are 20% of their grade. And so what that means is that when they take a test, you're probably going to see their grade go up or down more than when they hand in a lab. Their grade probably wouldn't go up and down as much from that because it's not weighted as heavily. You also can see what they got on the assignment, and there in the yellow is a missing flag that says that they never handed that assignment in. It wasn't that they earned a 0 because they got it all wrong. It was because they never turned it in to be graded. And you might see other flags that come up there like they turned it in late. Might be a point deduction there. You might see sometimes if they cheated, you'd see a 0 and it would say cheated there. So it gives you some insight as to why they have a 0, which is usually what most parents are concerned about. And then, so the other grades there, you can see due dates on those as well when they were due. So something that's really important to get your information, not only for messages sent from teachers, but if we're just trying to contact you about anything from the school, is to make sure that your information is updated in Infinite Campus. And you do that every year in enrollment, but sometimes your information changes throughout the year. Sometimes you were going through enrollment really quickly and there's a typo and you realize it later in the year, you're not getting emails. You can fix that in Infinite Campus yourself without having to call the school. And so when you're in the account, in the upper right there's a little like person, and you click on that and you click on settings, and you can also change the language if you like. But settings will bring up the screen you see in front of you. And so that's the notification is where you can choose notifications like to your cell phone, how often, if you want to be notified every time there's a missing assignment, or if you just want to be notified when assignment's graded, or just not very often, you just want to be notified when grades are finalized. It lets you choose that there. Contact preferences, that is where you're going to change your personal information, your cell phone number, your email address, however it is that you can, when a teacher wants to send you something, what that looks like. All right, another feature of Infinite Campus is under documents. There's a lot of things under documents that you can go through. And so the first one point out is the schedule. So if you want to know what classes your student is taking or what time of day, you're at the eye doctor, the dentist, you're trying to call in and make an appointment, and you're like, man, I don't want them to miss a certain class. you can get on Infinite Campus real quick on your app, and you can pull up their schedule and see where they would be at during those different appointment times that you're trying to make. It's also helpful to know what your student is taking as you're trying to do like pre-enrollment type stuff. And so that's where you would find it. You can also get it with your locker combination if your student has a locker. That's also under documents is where you find report cards, and oftentimes we found that the comments that teachers make don't show up unless you look at the actual report card. When you go to where the grades are posted, sometimes you can see it, but most of the time you can't. So I encourage you, if you haven't been checking the report card feature, to go in and actually click in the report card at the end of a grading quarter and see if the teachers made any comments on the grades. And so you can see there, and it also gives the GPA updated information on those as well. Another feature under documents that you might use as a parent is the transcript. It's an unofficial transcript because only the official transcripts can come from the registrar in the office. But sometimes an unofficial transcript is all you need for grade verification for a variety of things. Depending on your insurance company, they may not need an official one. A lot of times they just want a report card or an unofficial transcript printed off. And so this is where you could get that information if you need that for a variety of purposes with the transcript or a report card. The transcript would show all the courses and the grades that they've earned in those courses at the high school through their time there, and it also gives their current cumulative GPA, which is something that becomes very important as they look at graduating from high school and going on to whatever they're going on to the future, whether it's going to college, trade school, if they're looking at scholarships. Students monitor their GPA. And that's where you can find that, is by pulling up the unofficial transcript. Also very helpful for enrollment time when you're trying to figure out what credits your student has and what they still need to take. When you pull that up, it will have a little analysis of required credits and say like they need 3 science credits, and it will tell you 2 of the 3 science credits have been earned. Okay, well, it says they have 2 out of 3. I need to get them enrolled in a 3rd science credit for next year. So it can be helpful in making sure they enroll in the correct courses to graduate. All right, one more feature in Infinite Campus that's important is checking your students' attendance. You get that automated call from the office oftentimes when an unexcused absence is entered in the computer, but it's also helpful to double check in Infinite Campus and just look at attendance. So tardies, if your students tardy to class a lot, right? If they're missing class, that might be a conversation you want to have with your student. You can see that here. If they're absent a lot, you can see that as well, whether it was excused or unexcused. For the absences, you can check that on this screen. The only downside that we found on this first screen you click in with attendance is it doesn't show activity absences. It just shows when they're not actually in the building. So you have to click on the course to actually go in and see if they have an exempt absence. An exempt absence would be a school activity. So if your student is missing because they play tennis or basketball or run track, or they were on a field trip with a class, those would all be exempt. That they were in attendance. The state counts them as being present at school for their attendance for the day, but they weren't physically in that particular room learning that lesson. And so when does that become important? I've had conversations with parents that they'll talk to me about their students struggling. Why do they have so many missing assignments? They feel like they don't know the information. And we go in and look and see that for one reason or another, oftentimes at the end of the day, that they're missing that class a lot. And so it's not that they're absent from school. They're attending school, but they're not physically in that classroom for the lessons. And sometimes that can become problematic for that student when they're missing, and that can help the conversation and what needs to be done. So I encourage you to check that too and see if your student is missing a particular class for activities, or maybe your orthodontist appointment always falls during the same class and you didn't realize that they had missed 8 classes that semester for appointments. So that's where you would see it when you click in there. So that's just a quick overview of Infinite Campus. If you have more questions or specific questions for your student, feel free to reach out to the office. Counselors can help you sort through this, and as well, if counselors are unavailable, oftentimes your student seminar teacher could be very helpful in finding something in Infinite Campus if you are unable to locate it.